Let's get one thing absolutely clear. When a $10 million deal, a brand revival, and a legend's reputation all go up in flames simultaneously, it is never, ever an accident. They want you to watch the clips circulating online, the endless loop of botched plays and on-court frustrations, and conclude that this was a simple failure of a single athlete. They're counting on you to accept the easy story, the surface-level drama, because the truth is far more calculated and far more damning. The real story isn't about one player's slump, it's about a corporate war that was fought and won in complete silence. This catastrophic collapse wasn't just a failure, it was a targeted demolition. This is the story of how Nike, the undisputed empire of sports, orchestrated the perfect revenge, using Caitlin Clark's quiet brilliance as a weapon to systematically dismantle Reebok's comeback, and in the process, publicly destroy Shaquille O'Neal's entire master plan. To understand the sheer brutality of this takedown, you first have to understand the stench of desperation coming from Reebok headquarters. This wasn't the Reebok of the 90s, the swaggering giant that once stood toe-to-toe with Nike. This was a brand on life support, a ghost haunting the basketball world. They needed more than a new shoe. They needed a resurrection. Their solution was to bring back a deity from their pantheon. Shaquille O'Neal was appointed president of basketball. It was a signal to the world, a statement of intent that they were back in the game. His first, and what would become his most fateful decision, was to choose the face of this new revolution. He didn't go for a safe bet. He didn't choose a seasoned professional with a proven record. He chose a lightning rod. He chose Angel Reese. Reebok's marketing department sold this as a stroke of genius. They were embracing controversy, betting on Reese's immense social media presence and headline-generating persona. They threw a multi-year, multi-million-dollar contract at her, complete with the promise of a signature shoe, an honor reserved for the truly elite. They believed that pure, unfiltered hype could fuel a corporate renaissance. But our investigation uncovered the fatal flaw that was baked into this plan from the very beginning. We found that Shaq's original vision was to hunt bigger fish, to sign established NBA superstars who could guarantee a return. However, he was reportedly blocked by severe budget constraints. Angel Reese wasn't the grand vision. She was the affordable gamble. Reebok couldn't pay for a sure thing, so they gambled everything they had on a compelling yet unproven narrative. In doing so, they left themselves completely exposed, and their oldest and most powerful rival was waiting patiently to strike. While Reebok was orchestrating a media circus, Nike made its move. It was quiet, it was decisive, and it was utterly devastating. They didn't need to chase controversy. They simply acquired excellence. They signed Caitlin Clark to a historic 8-year, $28 million deal. There was no manufactured drama, no edgy marketing campaign. It was just the best player in the world joining the biggest brand in the world. This wasn't merely a counter move. It was a strategic masterclass in corporate warfare. Nike placed a symbol of pure, undeniable record-breaking performance on the chessboard right across from Reebok's unpredictable queen of chaos. They knew they didn't have to attack. All they had to do was let the world watch and see the glaring difference for themselves. The result was a public execution in slow motion. From the moment the WNBA season tipped off, the foundation of Reebok's $10 million bet on Angel Reese began to visibly disintegrate. Her performance wasn't just inconsistent. It was becoming a source of viral mockery. The numbers we uncovered from her 2025 season are staggering for all the wrong reasons. Her field goal percentage was a shaky 44.4%, but the statistic that became a running joke was her finishing at the rim. On layups, she ranked third in the league for attempts but was dead last in conversion rate among top players, hitting at a dismal 31.5%. It became a predictable, painful spectacle. Night after night, what should have been easy points turned into frustrating misses. The public humiliation reached its apex when sports commentators live on a national broadcast were caught on a hot mic trying and failing to suppress their laughter after another one of her botched plays. That sound, the sound of open unprofessional mockery from the very people paid to analyze the game, was the moment this officially crossed the line from a player's slump into a full-blown brand catastrophe. And with every single one of those embarrassing misses, another dagger was plunged directly into the heart of Shaquille O'Neal's reputation. The on-court disaster soon metastasized into a behavioral meltdown. The immense pressure of being the face of a global brand was clearly taking its toll. Reese began collecting technical fouls at an alarming rate, quickly leading the entire WNBA, and earning an automatic suspension for accumulating 8 of them. The suspension was a public relations nightmare for Reebok, but the real damage was the internal decay she was causing within her own team. In a shocking move, she publicly criticized her Chicago Sky teammates, telling the media they simply weren't good enough. The fallout was immediate and toxic. A source from inside the Chicago Sky organization described the atmosphere in the locker room as a Category 5 hurricane. She wasn't leading a revolution, she was leading an insurrection against her own squad. Do you see the silent, deadly genius of Nike's revenge plot? They didn't have to lift a finger. They just sat back and watched as their competitors' hand-picked savior self-destructed on a national stage. Every negative headline Reese generated, every report of locker room toxicity, every notice of suspension was a quiet, effortless victory for Nike. Their revenge was being executed for them, free of charge, by the very person Reebok had paid millions to be their champion. With the narrative in ashes, the financial collapse was swift and merciless. This is where the revenge plot shifts from a sports story to a story of a brutal business execution. Reebok's once hopeful marketing campaigns became toxic assets. Their social media posts were relentlessly flooded with ridicule and memes of missed layups. Insiders report that Reebok's social media managers were left to dodge ratio after ratio in what had become a digital battlefield. Alleged internal documents show marketing teams scrambling to create risk recovery plans and pivot strategies to deal with the non-stop negative publicity. The financial bleeding was catastrophic. Less than a year into this massive deal, retailers were already aggressively discounting Angel Reese's products just to get them off the shelves. The return on investment for Reebok was reportedly deep in the red. While Reebok was desperately trying to stop their brand from hemorrhaging cash, Nike was enjoying a gold rush. Caitlin Clark's endorsed products were selling out almost instantly. Industry analysts began projecting that her signature shoe, set to launch in 2026, could become a $100, $150 million business on its own. This is the cold, hard math of Nike's revenge. For every dollar Reebok lit on fire in their gamble on hype, Nike calmly made 10 more by investing in pure, undeniable talent. But the ultimate target in this silent war was never just the Reebok brand. It was the legend who put his own name on the line, Shaq. Imagine being in his shoes. You are Shaquille O'Neal, a titan of sport and business. You stand at a podium and passionately declare that you are bringing a legendary brand back from the dead. You put your name, your credibility, and your entire business legacy on the line for this one single bet. Now, you are forced to watch helplessly as every prediction you made turns to dust. You watch as your chosen star becomes a global punchline. And you watch as your old corporate partners at Nike effortlessly dominate the entire landscape with the very type of stable, transcendent talent you were unable to secure. This wasn't just a business loss. It was a profound and personal humiliation. The fallout has been so toxic that whispers in the basketball community suggest other potential Reebok signings are now reconsidering, deeply concerned about being associated with the brand's disastrous judgment. Nike's revenge wasn't just about winning the 2025 season, it was about salting the earth, crippling Reebok's ability to compete for the foreseeable future. They didn't just outsmart a competitor, they isolated a legend and made him look like a fool. And the final tragic act of this story is still being written. We are now hearing from multiple sources that Reebok's executives are in a full-blown panic, desperately exploring legal options to distance themselves from the partnership, with some reports even claiming the multi-million-dollar deal has been terminated early. If they succeed, they will be cutting ties with the very player they thrust into this impossible brand-breaking spotlight. So the question remains, what happens now? Can Shaq's reputation as a business mogul ever recover from such a public and decisive failure? Was Angel Reese just a pawn in a high-stakes game between corporate giants, used for her hype and then discarded when her performance couldn't cash the checks that Reebok's desperate ambition wrote? This takedown is complete. But the real story, the one that should send a chill down the spine of every other brand in sports, is what it reveals about Nike's silent, ruthless, and terrifying efficiency, which forces us to ask the most important question of all: who's next on their list? We're already investigating, and what we're finding suggests this was just the beginning.